Money FM 89.3, the best of the afternoon update. The afternoon update with Lin Li Fu.
Good afternoon to you. It's Lin Li with you on this Wednesday afternoon. Now, Singapore is the world's busiest marine fuel hub. But right now, the sector is facing a squeeze. Bunker suppliers are grappling with tighter margins, slower payments, and a growing cash crunch, with some even scaling back their fleets. A new finance platform launched by 129 Knots and Greenlink Digital Bank is hoping to change that, offering credit and payment solutions embedded right into the supply chain. Joining us to explain how it all works and what it could mean for Singapore's maritime and fintech ambitions is Mahesh Kumar, co-founder at 129 Knots. Mahesh, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Lynn. It's a pleasure to join you all. Lovely to see you.
Now, let's start with the current landscape. What's causing the choking cash flow?
Sure, yeah. So this obviously culminated over years. Just to let you understand the scale of the problem, it's really a $200 billion industry.
Wow.
And Singapore alone would be in the current market space operating around 30 to 40 billion out of it. So this is a very large market. And typically, marine fuels over the lifetime of a vessel could easily be 3 times to 5 times as expensive than the vessel could be. So that's the kind of a run we are looking at with every shipping operators looking at bunker fuels and marine fuels predominantly known. This sector has plagued a lot of credit crunch, largely few large banks pulling out altogether. Of late, the credit price also had a swing. So which also means the intermediaries who are predominantly coming and trying to solve this problem of credit crunch because they can actually provide back-to-back credit. They face higher credit costs. And more importantly, the liquidity providers need more understanding of the visibility and flows of marine fuel, which has historically been an opaque and fragmented industry. It's not efficient. You typically look at capital in the terms of a pyramid. The best are the best buyers, the second best buyers, the third best buyers. That's where the top-tier banks, top-tier liquidity falls through. But if you look at the long tail of the shipping and the operators and the charterers, there's a huge long tail phenomena in this industry, which predominantly leads to different tiers of pricing, different tiers of mismatches, different tiers of transparency which the market needs to provide, and not the same top-tier financials fall across the pyramid. That leads to a massive gap, and as a result, it's never optimized. And so all alternative or intermediates predominantly do their best to actually solve this problem. So once this can be levelized, where you actually allow the top-tier banks and the platforms to actually give more transparency into the flows, the liquidity just flows seamlessly across the waterfall. And then the waterfall mechanism starts happening and the money seamlessly flow. But between each layer, there needs a sizable amount of transparency which needs to flow through. And this is largely from the bank. And that's the layer on which we operate. We try to remove the barriers between the layers so that the money can flow.
Mahesh, thanks for that overview of Singapore's bunkering industry and why it's under so much financial pressure right now. It sounds like these are deep-rooted issues that have been building for some time.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the solution then. What exactly is this new embedded finance platform of yours and how does it work?
Yeah. So in an industry like this, right, you first need to really understand the industry really deep, and only then you would understand how to originate the actual money and as well as distribute the money behind the scenes. So we have built what is called an origination to distribution platform, which predominantly talks about how the bunker fuel happens between the buyers and the suppliers. Also in times intermediaries like traders and so forth, who predominantly move the physical fuel. As a result, the bunkering gets done and the money flows through it. So that's the first piece where the origination of the trade happens. Once the origination of the trade happens, there's a lot of risk between the origination to the distribution of the assets. That's why you need technology to manage the transaction risk, compliance risk, KYC risk, delivery risk, product off-spec risk, which are all very industry specific. Once you manage the risk better, then the asset which you produce, which is predominantly receivables in the case of trade, is more asset worthy. So you make these receivables extremely asset worthy so that the big tier banks or alternative financiers could view it as assets because there are yields across these assets. So that's the distribution piece we need to build so that more financial could easily come into the distribution platform, park the money in and wait for the origination to happen in a very transparent way so that they know that, okay, now this is seamless, very deep. I see the flow. I see the data trails. I understand this is very secure. There's no duplication. There's no frauds. Everything is happening seamlessly. Once you build the trust to the investor, the liquidity starts flowing. So this is exactly what we have done. We have built an end-to-end OTD platform, largely trying to solve more from a money lens, where the banks and the alternative financiers could now seamlessly provide liquidity to the end party, which are duly deserving the credit right now.
Well, sounds like a major shift from the old model of invoice chasing as siloed systems. But tell me, what are you exactly offering? Structured credit and embedded payment options?
Yes. We do provide structured credit because there are a lot of different types of structured credits. And this industry is ripe to actually look at all different forms of financing solutions. Historically, CapEx-based solutions are great, but OpEx-based solutions and financial services and products across this is a massive market. And that's a space where we are saying how a technology could enable to do something like embedded financing. So which is us going to the bank to get our invoice and receivables factored. Now we are trying to bring bank where the action is. So we are trying to bring the banks and the alternative financial where the action is, which is right into the industry, in such deep tier industry, so that the credit doesn't actually choke just because on the balance sheet of the companies, but actual data trails on the transaction. So moving from balance sheet to data to actual transaction is where the future of trade lies. The less friction you have, the more you embed yourself into the industry, more likely this problem will be solved. So that's what is happening.
And all this is real time?
Yes, it is real time. In fact, I could personally say this could be one of its kind where the bank can literally see not only the money trail, but also the yield trail and also the transaction trail on a single ledger.
Wow.
And since we partner with banks and alternative financiers, we're able to structure different financial products depending on who the counterparty is. So with the bank's ability, we could structure trade finance, we could do structured trade credit, we could even do spot credits and so forth. The game just opens up big time.
Okay, and you've built this under EDB's Corporate Venture Launchpad. So how has that support helped shape the platform?
Oh, thanks to EDB, because we were part of a corporate venture launchpad. So they predominantly pick top companies and basically look at the new pivot and the venture validation which large company needs to go globally and scalable. So EDB predominantly supported by actually helping us to do the CVL. But that's not just the support. They also bring connections, validations, validating different hypotheses around the business ideas. So a lot of help on those grounds.
Are you already seeing traction? What kind of reception has there been from suppliers and buyers?
Interesting. Right now, we are almost talking around 75-odd suppliers on board on the platform. We have 30-odd buyers. We're currently looking at money deployment per se to it, because at the end of the day, liquidity matters for the platform adoption to happen. We are slowly scaling up. Our ambition is to go up to 500 million over the next 3 years.
Wow.
And we don't have a bad start, just to give you a heads up.
So where are you seeing the strongest demand from? Is it mid-sized bunker players or?
So that could actually be on two grounds, because the suppliers always have a different types of need, the buyers have a different types of needs, right? Supplier would demand more cash types of requirements. The buyers would need a more extended credit kind of a requirement. So the needs are slightly based on what you're looking at, right? So we have equal traction on both sides, to be precise, but the real meat actually lies in how best you can actually solve both sides of the problem. The suppliers on one side and as well as the buyer's problem on the other side. That's a sweet spot we want to operate. And if you really look into it, it could be sometimes mid-tier buyers. It could be back-to-back charterers. It could be sometimes even be traders who are actually trying to solve this problem, but they are still stuck with liquidity. And so it's not a one-size-fits-all, but money can solve everybody's problem in some way.
Obviously, you're seeing real appetite for faster access to capital. Now, zooming out a little, what does this mean for Singapore's broader ambitions in terms of maritime and fintech?
First and foremost, I think Singapore is the largest marine refueling hub in the world, first. Second, I think needless to say, Singapore is also one of the largest fintech ecosystem. Third, it is also a great innovation ecosystem.
That's right.
Fourth, I think the regulatory environment to try new stuff when it comes to financial innovation is unmatched and unparalleled. 5, you always need a story which has a global perspective to it. And this is a story which is truly global. So made in Singapore, but scaled globally, right? So on that ground, I think we are perfectly ripe to not only take 129 knots abroad, but actually we're truly inspired by Singapore's story, right? 1.29 is actually Singapore's latitude. So that's how much
Really?
we
Wow,
like.
that's interesting.
Yes. So that's why we have 129. So it's all Singapore story for us.
I see. Well, how clever. Now, looking further ahead, could this same platform support sustainable fuels or future green initiatives in bunkering?
Yes.
Okay, tell us more.
Because that's a big angle which is coming up in the future, because Singapore supports green fuels. Not only that, IMO is also coming up with strong regulations to pivot the entire industry to reduce the greenhouse gas intensity. So this is anyway regulated. So this is supposed to happen and must happen. And Singapore has been championing biofuel trials, if you really look at closely, if you look at new ammonia kind of technology transitions. And this is also a space where the energy transition alone could be $1 trillion to $2 trillion kind of market opportunity to capitalize. I'm talking about vessel trying to do itself into energy transition. That's also a space we will eventually look into it in the near future. So that's a huge market by itself.
And finally, Mahesh, if there's one message you want the industry to take away from this launch, what would it be?
We are coming where the action is, guys. We are open for discussions, because let liquidity not be an answer to a problem to do energy transition. Let liquidity not be a problem to actually do more growth. Let liquidity not be a challenge to actually bring more efficiency. So if these are your challenges, we are right here. We are open for discussions, and this is not the problem on which we need to do a bigger revolution out there. So it's all good. This problem is being looked seriously now.
Mahesh Kumar, co-founder of 129 Knots. Thank you so much, Mahesh, for your time and insights.
Thank you so much, Lynn.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.